Agro Commissioner. Mr. Jallo, you were summoned this time on two matters. One is on Premier Agro Oil Company Limited, and the other on the HIPIC and MDRI Relief Fund or account. Right, let's start with the Premier Agro Oil Company Limited. Premier Agro Oil Company Limited is located at Denton Bridge. The record shows. The record also shows that Gambia government, for some reason, was involved in the purchase or acquisition of this plant on the directives of the President or with the approval of the President. What can you tell us about it?
Thank you very much. By way of background, Premier Agro was a company that was involved in the processing of groundnut into oil and cake, and they were exporting these two products overseas. But at that time, the Gambia Groundnut Corporation was not involved in the processing of groundnut into oil and seed. They were mainly involved in the handling and storage of groundnut products. So in 2006, Premier Agro, we understand, took a loan from Standard Chartered Bank, but the loan defaulted, and the Standard Bank took over the assets of Premier Agro. Later, what happened was that the Standard Chartered Bank, the CEO then engaged the Minister of Finance, maybe as part of their marketing engagements. They engaged the minister.
Who was the managing director of Standard Chartered Bank
and
was, the Minister of Finance?
He was O.J. Makumba, was the CEO at the time, and the finance minister was Musa Jibril Balagay.
Musa Jibril Balagay.
Yes.
And so you were saying the CEO of Standard Chartered Bank approached the Ministry of Finance?
Yeah, they engaged the Ministry of Finance on the sale of those assets. So the Ministry of Finance then, so this led to a negotiation between the Ministry of Finance and the Standard Chartered Bank. So they came to a conclusion that the purchase price or the sale price will be 20 million Gambian dollars.
Can you speak up, please?
Sorry. They reached a negotiated price of 20 million Gambian dollars. But before that, the Ministry of Finance engaged the Gambia Groundnut Corporation at the time, GGC, at least to help them provide them a brief report about the status of those assets which were then housed at the GGC. So the managing director of GGC at that time then prepared a brief report for the minister, at least to help them guide the negotiation process. So a brief report was provided by GGC to the Minister of Finance. And the report, I can briefly explain what is contained in that report.
You have a report prepared by the Managing Director GGC?
Yes.
What's the date of the report?
It was dated 13 June 2006.
13/4?
13 June 2006, yeah.
And the Managing Director at the time was who?
Was Mustafa Koli.
Mustafa Koli?
Yes.
He's still the Managing Director, isn't he?
He is the deputy.
He's the Deputy Managing Director?
Yes.
What is GGC called now?
Now?
Did they change their name, GGC?
Yes.
What is it called now?
It's called National Food Processing and Marketing Corporation Company.
National Food Processing and Marketing Company.
Yes.
All right, let's have the report. It was on the basis of that report that government engaged. Now, we have minutes in a file
Yes, I
with
have
the
all.
President. What was the President's involvement?
I could not trace that document, but
Okay.
yes, we could not trace that the directive from Office of the President.
Why couldn't you trace it?
I engaged our records office, and they have extensively looked for the document, but they cannot find the document.
We can't hear you, Mr. Jallo. You know.
I have engaged our records office.
They can't find what? The
yes,
file or the document?
The document itself, yeah.
All right. Can we have the report? And do you have any other documents concerning the sale of 20 million?
Yes.
What about the sale agreement?
We could not have a copy of this sale agreement, but we did make efforts to have a copy of the sale agreement. So we wrote to the Ministry of Justice to see whether they have a copy of the sale agreement, but it turns out that they don't keep one. And we have also engaged the Standard Chartered Bank, but they don't also maintain a copy of the sale agreement.
Okay. So who did you buy? You bought it from Standard Chartered Bank. Who
Yes.
were the original owners of this
The original owners
company?
It was an Indian company called Premier Agro Oil Mill Company.
Yes, I think further effort has to be made so that we know we have more information on this sale. So what happened to the plant? You spent 20 million of public funds purchasing a plant. So what happened to it?
The plant is still in operation. The DGC, that's the very plant that the Gambia Groundnut Corporation is using to process groundnuts into cake and oil, and then export them.
They are exporting. What are they exporting?
They are exporting the oil.
They're exporting oil.
Yeah. But it has been rehabilitated over the years, because at the time of taking over the assets of this company, we impressed on Standard Chartered Bank to rehabilitate those assets, which they did before it was handed over to government.
Yes, but GGC is an independent organization, right?
Yes.
It's with separate legal entity. It's not part of government. So what was the arrangement between government and GGC?
The Minister of Finance then, at that time, noticed that most of the, in fact, all the exporters, all the groundnut processing exporters at the time were out of business. They were no longer in operation in 2006. And it was realized that it's very important that the government of the Gambia buys these assets on behalf of GGC so that they can add value and export them. That was the main rationale why government decided to buy those plants on behalf of.
Do they sell oil to the local market?
If they should sell, it should be very minimal. The bulk of the export, the oil that they produce is exported.
And then
the European market.
While the citizens are importing oil, they are exporting oil. It's rather. Anyway, my question was, what was the arrangement with GGC? Was it a loan? Was it a grant?
No, it was a grant.
A grant?
Yes. It was not a loan to GGC.
So why would you give a grant to GGC to extract oil and export it? I don't understand the rationale. At least if it's a grant, one would expect them to crush the nuts, extract the oil and for local consumption. So anyway, we will get the managing director GGC. Let's have the rest of the documents that you have on this.
When the report was submitted, the permanent secretary wrote a minute to the finance minister summarizing the content of the report that was submitted by GGC.
Okay, that's the minute you, okay. What else do you have?
When, we also have a letter that is written from the Minister of Finance addressed to the Standard Chartered Bank requesting them to make the solvent extraction plant and the decortication plant to be functional.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's have them all together.
Because it was agreed that the plant has to be rehabilitated before the government buys the plant.
Do you have any documents showing that this was a grant to GGC?
No.
How do you know it was a grant?
I spoke to my predecessor and he told me that it was purchased for them. It's
Which predecessor?
It was Abdou Touré.
Mr.?
Abdou Touré.
Mr. Abdou Touré, where is he now?
He's at the UNDP office in Banjul.
And just an unconditional grant for them to crush oil and send it? Did he but anyway, he's around. We will ask him to come and explain.
Okay.
Let's just have the rest of the documents that we have. We will apply to admit them.
At the time. This letter is addressed to them confirming our agreement that the purchase price is going to be $20 million. Yes. Following that, a letter was also written to the Solicitor General and Legal Secretary requesting from them to prepare the sale agreement between the government of the Gambia and Standard Chartered Bank. We also have another letter from the Attorney General's office addressed to the Ministry of Finance asking us to provide more information that will enable them to prepare the sale agreement on behalf of the government. We also wrote a letter on the 20th November 2017 to the Solicitor General and Legal Secretary asking them to provide a copy of the sale agreement. As part of our due diligence, we wrote also to the Solicitor General asking them to provide the registration details of Premier Agro.
That's the memorandum and articles?
Yes.
Of Premier Agro Oil?
Yes. And we got a response for the AG chambers that they don't have the registration details of this company. In other words, they are saying the company is not incorporated and it's not also
the company is not incorporated?
Yes. We realize that it has not been incorporated and registered on the single business registry system.
Well, that is a recent system of 2013.
Yes.
But their legacy records should show Premier Agro Oil. Well,
they have also stated that there is no information on our historical records as well, which means that this company is neither incorporated nor registered with us.
Well, unless it was an external, well, even if it's an external company, it would have been registered. I doubt very much whether Standard Chartered Bank would grant a loan to a company, an entity that is not registered. But we will certainly summon them, those involved, to be of more assistance to the Commission. Well, thank you. So we don't have the sale agreement, which I hope you will continue to search for. And we don't have any grant agreement as well. Maybe GGC might have the grant. Did you speak to GGC? Maybe they will have a grant agreement?
Actually, I didn't ask them about the
Well, could you find out whether there was a grant agreement?
Okay.
Can you collect the rest of the documents, please? Where was the money taken from? The 20 million?
I also did ask my predecessor about it, but he said he could not remember that. But it was certainly not from the budget.
It was certainly not from?
From the budget. It was not from the budget.
It was not from the budget?
Yeah.
Who paid this money? Was it your office?
Yes, it was our office.
That paid the money?
Yeah, that's the information I got, yeah.
2006. Well,
yes.
we still have more. We hope you will be of more assistance in terms of the source of the funds.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, may I apply to have admitted documents produced by the Ministry of Finance concerning the acquisition of Premier Agro Oils operating at Denton Bridge, operated by the GGC, now the National Food Processing and Marketing Company Limited. Do you receive any reports from the National Food Processing and Marketing Company Limited concerning this Premier Agro Oil?
No, the only report we have is this brief that they provided for the minister at the time.
Well, thank you.
Mr. Jallo, quick question. The minute sheets attached, addressed to the Honorable Secretary of State Finance, where is it coming from?
From the Permanent Secretary.
PS to SOS?
To the Minister, yes.
So it's within the Ministry?
Within the Ministry,
Thank
yes.
you.
Bundle of correspondence by Ministry of Finance, Gambia Groundnut Corporation, Ministry of Justice, and Standard Chartered Bank with Ministry of Finance Minute Sheet Folio 139 re Premier Agro Oil Limited Oil Mill at Denton Bridge. Admitted Mag MS 123. IMF, International Monetary Fund, country report number 08/109, dated March 2008, re the Gambia Enhanced HIPIC Initiative - completion point document and multilateral debt relief initiative.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman, I mistakenly included.
Oh, it's a mistake?
Yes.
Well, we thought as so.
I must have mistakenly included that one. Thank you very much.
Unrelated to it. Well,
Oh, you added it.
not
I
admitted.
didn't check.
Take it.
I mistakenly included it.
Yes.
Very well. Well, we'll strike
We
out
haven't gotten to
that
it.
exit. It's all right. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We'll
Very
have
well.
to give the PS another date for the HIPIC, MDRI, another date next week. We'll communicate the date to you.